Hey, welcome back. As you can see, it's a little rainy up here in the Pacific Northwest, but thank God that I have a dry spot, but you're still able to kind of see the nature because I feel that that is a very important part of what we do here. As I've stated in previous recordings, my lady and I are studying the book of Mark chapter by chapter. Today we are on chapter 7, and we will keep going day by day until we finish it. There are 16 chapters in the book of Mark, so in 9, what is it? We're in chapter 7, so that's what? It can't be 9 days already, is it? Oh my goodness. 9 days left, wow. Huh. I hope my math is right, but in 9 days we would have finished the entire book of Mark. So if you missed a couple chapters, feel free to just go back. You know, they're all less than 15 minutes. You're just reading a chapter out of the book. Very beneficial for the soul, for the spirit, communing and spending time with the Lord and spending time with the community, everyone else that's tuning in and joining us, a nice Bible study community that we're building. In Mark chapter 6, Jesus was rejected at Nazareth. He said, "A prophet is not without honor except in his own country, among his own relatives in his own house." John the Baptist was beheaded. Jesus fed the 5,000. Jesus walked on the sea, and many touched him and were made well. So Mark chapter 7, I'm going to try to not get any raindrops on my Bible. Defilement comes from within. Then the Pharisees and some of the scribes came together to him, having come from Jerusalem. Now, when they saw some of his disciples eat bread with the defiled, that is, with unwashed hands, they found fault. For the Pharisees and all the Jews did not eat unless they washed their hands, in a special way, holding the tradition of the elders. When they come from the marketplace, they do not eat unless they wash, and there are many other things which they have received and hold, like the washing of cups, pitchers, copper vessels, and couches. Assuming couches is like another form of like a vessel to carry something. I'm not assuming it's a sofa or something you sit on. But Mark chapter 7 verse 5. Then the Pharisees and scribes asked Jesus, "Why do your disciples not walk according to the traditions of the elders, but eat bread with unwashed hands?" And Jesus said to them, "Well did Isaiah prophesy of you hypocrites, as it is written, 'This people honors me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. And in vain they worship me, teaching as doctrines the commandments of men. For laying aside the commandment of God, you hold the tradition of men. The washing of pitchers and cups, and many other such things you do." Verse 9, he said to them, "All too well you reject the commandment of God, that you may keep your tradition. For Moses said, 'Honor your father and your mother,' and he who curses his father or mother, let him be put to death. But you say, if a man says to his father or mother, 'Whatever profit you might have received from me is Corban,' that is a gift from God, then you no longer let him do anything for his father or his mother, making the word of God of no effect through your tradition, which you have handed down, and many such things you do." Essentially is saying that they're putting the commandments of God, like love your neighbor as thyself, and things of that nature, the 10 commandments are the greatest commandments, love your God with all your heart, your soul, your mind, and your strength. Things like that. They're putting those aside. I would say cornerstones of, the foundation, the cornerstones of faith. They're putting those aside for simple traditions like washing of cups and things like that. They valued their traditions over loving their neighbor. 7 verse 14, when Jesus had called all the multitude to himself, he said to them, "Hear me, everyone, and understand. There is nothing that enters a man from the outside which can defile him, but the things which come out of him, those things are the things that defile a man. If anyone has ears to hear, let him hear. There is nothing that enters a man from the outside which can defile him, but the things that come out of him, those are the things that defile a man, like your words and, especially coarse language. Using coarse language, it can really defile your heart. Swearing and, cursing people and hating people with your tongue and everything like that. Verse 17, when Jesus had entered a house away from the crowd, his disciples asked him concerning the parable. So he said to them, are you thus without understanding also? Do you not perceive that whatsoever enters a man from the outside cannot defile him? Because it does not enter his heart, but his stomach, which is eliminated, thus purifying all foods. And he said, what comes out of a man that defiles a man? For from within, out of the heart of men, proceed evil thoughts, adulteries, fornications, murders, thefts, covetousness, wickedness, deceit, lewdness, an evil eye, blasphemy, pride, foolishness. All these evil things come from within and defile a man. Enough said. Mark 7, verse 24. A Gentile shows her faith. From there, Jesus arose and went to the region of Tyre and Sidon. And he entered a house and wanted no one to know of it. But Jesus could not be hidden. For a woman whose young daughter had an unclean spirit heard about him. And she came and fell at his feet. The woman was Greek and a Syrophoenician by birth. And she kept asking him to cast the demon out of her daughter. But Jesus said to her, let the children be filled first, for it is not good to take the children's bread and throw it to the little dogs. And she answered and said to him, yes, Lord, even the little dogs under the table eat from the children's crumbs. Then he said to her, for this saying, go your way. The demon has gone out of your daughter. And when she had come to her house, she found the demon gone out and her daughter lying in bed. I'm not quite sure what that means, Lord. Assuming just to feed the child. Feed the child first. Do you have any ideas about what that meant? Please feel free to put a comment talking about Mark 7 verse 27. I'll pray about this later. Mark 7 verse 31. Jesus heals a deaf mute. Again departing from the region of Tyre and Sidon, he came through the midst of the region of Decapolis to the Sea of Galilee. So he made it to the Sea of Galilee, verse 32. Then they brought Jesus one who was deaf and had an impediment in his speech, and they begged him to put his hands on him. And Jesus took him aside from the multitude, and he put his fingers in his ears, and he spat and touched his tongue. Then looking up to heaven, he sighed and said to him, Ephphatha, that is, be open. Immediately his ears were opened, and the impediment of his tongue was loosed, and he spoke plainly. Then Jesus commanded them that they should tell no one. But the more he commanded them, the more widely they proclaimed it. And they were astonished beyond measure, saying, He has done all things well. He makes both deaf to hear and the mute to speak. So that was Mark chapter 7. Still kind of confused about 27. Let the children be filled first, for it is not good to take the children's bread and throw it to the little dogs. Yes, Lord, even the little dogs under the table eat from the children's crumbs. Shows her faith. I'm assuming the way that she answered proved her faith of some kind. But anyways, that was Mark chapter 7. Thank you for joining again. Tomorrow I will be back with Mark chapter 8, and we're just going to keep going until we finish it. So if you want to join my lady and I in the community that might be surrounding this video, come back. And if you don't, fair enough. We're going to keep going anyways. So until then, we'll see ya.